Sometimes with this hobby, we tend to get a little bit cluttered. We buy new exciting stuff. You get that big box that you wanted for so long. This happens to all of us. You get a good deal on something. Maybe you buy a big starter set that comes with 2 armies and you're only interested in one of them, but none of your friends want to share. And so you end up buying the whole box anyway. Well, that's what flea markets are for. So we're having a hobby flea market here locally very soon. And so in the spirit of working on my pile of shame, my pile of potential, my backlog, whatever you want to call it, I have been decluttering a little bit of my stuff, seeing what do I actually want to work on and what would maybe make someone else happy down the line, right? So I'm going to see if I can sell some of my stuff and I'm going to show you what I sorted out. So inside of this box is everything that I'm going to get rid of. There it all is, and I'm just going to show you. Maybe I can sit down here. Whoop-a. All right, so the first thing I want to be selling is this big Tree Lord. I have already put price tags on all of these and they're sort of based on what I see these going for locally on the secondhand market, but I'm open to negotiations and I might change some of these. This was just me kind of sorting it all out to get like a rough idea of what I've got here. So this box used to be one of the start collecting boxes. These were great value. If you were into Warhammer and you wanted to get started with an army, sometimes you would just be able to buy like 2 or 3 of these start collecting boxes and you would have been set for a whole army, and these were great value because often you would get the whole box for basically the price of just the big centerpiece model plus like $5. So all of these would have been basically for free. So they were great value back in the day, but now they're hard to get. And this Tree Lord model is awesome. You can see here, this is basically a true scale representation. It's an amazing, amazing high fantasy end. It comes with all of these little critters that are really cute. They're sort of like positive nurglings. There's like a little owl in there and little fairy creatures. This used to belong to a friend of mine. He gave it to me. I really like the dryads that come in this box as well. I've got some of those and I might paint those up for a future video. If you're interested in that, leave a comment. But yeah, for now, I don't think I'm ever going to be painting this Tree Lord because maybe it's just a little too high fantasy for my taste. I think if I wanted an end, I might want to go with something a little bit more old school or like maybe a hand sculpted version. I don't know. I'm just not in love with him. And I've got other stuff that I'd rather be painting. At a certain point, you just have to kind of decide, am I going to paint this? Or would I rather someone else have fun with this, right? Because it's at this moment, it's just collecting dust inside of my shelf and there's no good reason for that. It's not like you can't buy this model at all anymore. I can still get him. So if I ever did want this model, I could just rebuy it. So for now, I'm selling him. Next up, I bought one of those start collecting boxes for the Seraphon, the Lizardmen. And I used to be big into Lizardmen. They were like my first Warhammer army that I ever started collecting. I love them, and I think the old sculpts are really fantastic. And when I say old sculpts, I mean like the mid-2000s sculpts. So these are not like the old Lizardmen, but these are the latest models before they got the recent refresh. These were the only Lizardmen models you could get for a long time. I remember waiting for that range refresh. In the time it took for them to update these models, I went from a die-hard Lizardmen fan waiting for the update to not really caring about them that much anymore. So yeah, sadly, my tastes have just shifted. And I'm no longer really interested in wargaming, and so I'm hoping that these models go to a new home and someone is very happy with them. I've got 8 little sprues of these riders. So in here are the cold ones. These are the mounts. These are lizards riding lizards. You can see here, this is what they look like when you assemble them. And then 2 sprues of the actual riders. They also come with these little snakes and tons of amazing banners, and you've got head options and cool drums, and there's like these decorative masks and all of that sort of stuff. It's just a great kit, and I hope that there's a Lizardmen player out there that really finds enjoyment in these. I've even got the original instructions included there. To go along with that, I got 3 sprues of the actual Saurus warriors. So these are the bodies, and then you've got the weapons up here, and you've got some little decorations and pauldrons, and you've got the heads over here and some banners. So you can really customize these. You can make musicians. They've all got either spears, you can give them spears, or you can give them sword and shield. They're really good models. Some club options as well. Really cool designs. They're all like sort of Mesoamerican influences. I really loved these models when I was growing up with Warhammer, and so I'm hoping someone else will have a good time with these. From that same box, I've got some little bits and pieces. You can see here I've got a little till. So this is when you build the big Carnosaur that comes in that box. You have some bits left over from like the rider. There's a whole skink that can go on here, which is like a little lizard shaman. There's this cool bit that's like a ceremonial staff. There's the whole head for the Carnosaur. I don't know if you can sort of see it through there. There it is. 2 halves. These bits are cool for Lizardmen players or people who like to kit bash. Maybe there's something in there. You've got these cool ornate horns that you could use to do some kit bashing with. I don't know if this is interesting for someone, but I thought I'd throw it on there. Another 2 sprues I've got, these are Scenic bases. So these used to come in an old Dungeons and Lasers Encounters kit. So this was part of, I believe, one of their earlier Kickstarters, and I got this on eBay a while ago, and it comes with these beautiful Hips plastic bases, and they're all sculpted with 3D detail to look like a forest environment with like plants and tree stumps and all of that. And I think these are 25 and 50 mil bases. This one has a skull on it. There's like a sort of a swamp here. I think these are really cool. I just personally prefer doing simpler bases nowadays. I do all of my bases the same way with a texture paste and sort of a dry brush and then some grass tufts. While I did use some of these and I enjoyed them, I'm not really using them anymore, and so I thought maybe someone else might like those. Because doing the bases yourself and gluing stuff on there and like sculpting your own bases, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So, you know, someone else might really like those. In that same vein, I got a whole bunch of plastic square slaughter bases that I bought way back for my Lizardmen, but never actually used. So it's not doing me any good just sitting in a box. So they're getting sold. Also from that friend of mine who used to collect these guys, I got this box of Kurnoth hunters. These are also beautiful models. They're really cool, but the same thing with the Tree Lord. These are just a little bit too high fantasy for my tastes. Yeah, just not really my style. But they're really beautiful models, and it would be a shame for them to just sit in my collection and gather dust. This is still shrink wrapped in plastic. I never even opened this. One detail I really love is if you do the bow option, you get these, they're called quiverlings, and they're just little guys that hold the quivers, and they scuttle along the ground with these Kurnoth hunters and provide the arrows for their bows, which I think is such a lovely detail. They're really cool. I love all the little fey creature companions that the Sylvaneth models get. And the weapons are beautiful. I mean, look at the scythe. That is a beautiful scythe. Even if you just wanted to use this for like kit bashing, there's so many good bits in here. Something else I'm going to try to sell is this little goblin that I painted a while back as an experiment. I magnetized it inside of here. So this guy, he's a Westphalia goblin. I showed him in one of the very first videos I ever made on the channel. And the idea back then was I bought 2 of these instead of just buying the one, and I painted them at the same time because I thought, you know, if I'm doing the same steps, it's basically like batch painting but only with 2 models. It'll take like no extra time at all to get them both finished, and then at the time I thought I would sell one of them to basically pay for the first one. So not really trying to make a profit, just trying to fund my own hobby. But he never sold, so he's just been with his twin this whole time. I think he looks pretty cool, and I'd enjoy having him in my goblin collection if I didn't already have the exact same one. So I don't know, maybe someone will buy this, maybe not. I think he's a fun little guy. This might be cool as well. I got this failed FDM print of a large dragon and I wrapped it in plastic. I'm not gonna sell this. I'm just gonna give this away to the first person that buys some of my dice. Because of course I will be selling those too. I made some new sets of dice. So these are the second edition and these are all ready to go and get sold. Also, my mom got a button machine and she's experimented with some buttons. I don't know if you guys think these are cool. The first set I sell of these, I'll just give them that dragon. Same with these stickers. I'm just gonna give these away. This is kind of fun, by the way, just kind of sitting down and having a little hangout with you guys. Not really working on any project, just kind of chilling. It's like a little show and tell. Now, I've got more sprues. So these are all of the models from the Age of Sigmar Dominion box that I didn't think I was going to be painting myself. If you're a member of the channel, you'll know this. I do members exclusive videos on there. I try to do them once a month and we rank all of the Age of Sigmar factions, every single model ever released for each faction. And the first video we ever did was an hours-long tier list ranking of all of the Stormcast Eternals models. So these are like the poster child of Games Workshop for Age of Sigmar, right? These are the good guys, essentially. And this Knight Arcanum is actually, I was surprised, it's a really, really cool model. It's a really cool sort of battle mage with a short sword and a magical staff. So that video is up right now on the channel. If you become a member, you can go watch that and other videos right now. So don't miss out on that, I'm just saying. The other stuff I've got here is 10 Vindictors. They're not called Vindicators, they're called Vindictors. And these are just the normal, regular foot soldiers. They've got sort of a Greek hoplite vibe. They're really cool models. They're just not my jam, but I know they're some people's jam. Now, last but not least, I got this big box and I got some random miniatures in here. I don't know, maybe we'll do like an overhead camera. So in here, I've got a bunch of models that I think are really cool, but realistically, I'm probably not going to paint them. So I've got a whole bunch of these very nice Underworlds sculpts for the Stormcast Eternals. These are great models. You could do some awesome kit bashing with these. I've seen some kit bashes by Anna from Gardens of Hecate. She's done a phenomenal job with these. Really enjoyed these sculpts. It's just not my priority. And I know that some of these Underworlds models, they're sort of harder to get nowadays. So maybe someone has been looking for these awesome battle mages. They're really cool. This guy actually rocks. Look at that staff. So I'll be selling those. I think these are two different Underworlds warbands. I used to really enjoy playing Underworlds, but I don't know, it got too much to keep up with, like many games. This one I used as a test model to do some verdigris tests, but you could just paint over that, no problem. She's actually really cool because her armor is not as bulky as the other ones. I think a much cooler look. Yeah, so a bunch of Stormcast there. And then inside of here, I've got a whole heap of other models. There's like some more of these Cold One mounts that I had primed and ready to go at some point. There's some minis by Steamforged Games that I got at a certain point that are maybe a bit too high fantasy for my tastes. Some 3D printed trees that I'm not really using. There's a really, really cool Finsterfey skeleton in here. That is such a cool sculpt. Flaming Mace. Hell yeah. And a whole bunch of my test models that I used to do for my Lizardmen back when I was painting those. So you can see I was trying out different color schemes for those, seeing which ones I liked and which ones I didn't. I think this is a North Star miniature that I did. Just random stuff like that. So that's what I'll be trying to sell at the flea market. It does feel good to clean up a little bit and not have all of this unpainted plastic sort of weighing me down, especially as I keep buying new stuff. I'm not gonna lie, there is definitely a tendency within this hobby for people to start hoarding and own much, much more than they'll ever be able to paint in a lifetime. And I understand the mechanisms behind that. I understand that buying stuff is sort of like part of the hobby or like sort of its whole own hobby in itself, but it can get to a point where it becomes unhealthy. So I would say to you, do keep an eye on the stuff that you have on your shelves and think about, can I just easily rebuy this at any point? Does this actually still align with what I like to build and paint and and play. And maybe all of that stuff that's on your shelf might make someone else very happy. Because if you've got like 5 army boxes of the same type and they're all still shrink wrapped, I don't think you need all that. we all know what I'm talking about, right? So I hope you enjoyed this little look at my hobby decluttering, as I'm calling it. And of course, I'll definitely do a video when the flea market happens this Saturday. And maybe I can give you an update on who this went to and what they're trying to do with it. I'd love that. Thank you, members. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Before I go, we do have 2 more members that joined at the white tier. So one of them is my grandma, Johanna. I tried really hard to convince her not to do that, but she insisted. So thank you for that. She actually watches every single video, which I am very grateful for. I have a very supportive family. So, Grandma, this is how this works. When you become a member of the highest tier, I dedicate one of my painted miniatures to you, and it permanently goes into that little display up there. And so for you, I've chosen this crazed cursed wooden shield seller that I kit bashed and painted a few videos ago as part of the pot bash challenge. There you are, up there with the rest of the other whites. And our second newest member at the white tier is Guy Awesome 100. So for you, I've chosen the Tengu that I painted also in a recent video. This one was also part of a collaborative process because I got this from a mini swap at the turnip event that I went to. So you're going on the shelf as well. And there you are. By the way, to answer another question you asked about this guy, he's up there. Maybe I'll speak about him in an upcoming video. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Thank you.